Hi lovelies! Today I want to show you how I created the Kuna Realm and all of its characters. This here is the Kuna Realm. I'm going to show you everything from concept creation to character creation. Let's get started. Hey lovelies! In this video I wanted to share with you a little bit the story behind Cyprel, the Kuna Realm and all its characters and how I came up to make it. So, first and foremost, this is the artwork that I'm talking about. I hope you can see it. It's a bit bigger than what the screen can capture in one go, so that's why I'm moving it around. It's added onto a wooden board. And who we can see here is we have Cyprel. She is the goddess and protector of the Kuna Realm. Here we have the majestic Tucarus. It comes out and goes back into the shield depending on whether there is danger imminent. We have here the flying Cora, which is one of the characters I have yet to make in its own sort of environment. Down here we have the curious Scorder. It's kind of like a mixture of a spider and just an imaginative tree-eyed animal. And over here we have the wise Ardenium. So the whole concept that you see has a bit to do with spirituality. You can see here the Triskelion from Ireland, which also symbolizes the tree of life. This kind of coconut represents a bit of like a seed and the growth into something. This is supposed to be the tree of life once it's completely grown. And yeah, the scepter, the crown is sort of is supposed to make her look a lot more powerful and magical. And especially here what we have is like a magic book, you could say witchcraft. There's a couple of witch related symbols that I looked up, though these are mostly around nature related witchcraft. I didn't know there were so many different types, but anyway, also the candles symbolize it. So this didn't look at all how it looks today. This was the first sketch sort of that created the idea. It's actually multiple ideas mixed into one. Here we have a very like magical world, a waterfall, something like a mermaid or siren going into the water, but her energy sort of comes from this planet, and each of these planets is sort of a different realm, a different life that she can sort of go through, and the door is just to symbolize the kind of going in and out of the different experiences. But what you might see is it's a lot of patterns, and the way I see it, even though this is not finished, there would be loads of bright colors. Like this tree would be in pink and bright greens, and it would be a vibrant blue, etc. So yeah, how did this evolve? From that, I was actually creating Cyprel and the Kuna Realm design with a class. I will leave the link in the description below, so that if you're interested in finding out how you can create your own characters or how you can make your worlds that you have in your mind come to life, you can check that out. It's from the artist 1000. Check out his work. I will also leave his Instagram and YouTube channel down there. He's amazing. He creates this really otherworldly characters with the brightest colors, but everything just ties in so beautifully. So check it out. And he's also a super happy and really funny person. So it's also very, very fun to watch him and listen to him. So yeah, so here I'm going to show you a bunch of different concept creation. So I knew I wanted to create something magical. So when I thought about magic, one of the tasks was, well, how could you represent that through symbols, through different elements, and definitely the cauldron is so witchy. I also thought about a magician, to not necessarily have to go down the witch route, and there's the rabbit kind of going out, or the wand like in Harry Potter, and then I started playing a bit with forms. So if it's a witch hat, maybe could a bird like over here have a witch hat as its beak? Or if we go further over here, we have the Kabbalah elements. Also, something like that could be incorporated in a pattern, and maybe in the tree bark or something. And then continuing over down here in the cauldron realm, I thought about herbs, and so what do you put into what would a witch put into her cauldron? And so I thought about different plants that could potentially represent as well different symbols, different meanings. Crystals from the spirituality is something that a lot of people use nowadays and have in their homes, whether to cleanse in their airs or to give them strength, etc. There's loads of different ones. So I also felt like that could be a nice symbol that isn't necessarily too witchy, if that makes sense. Yes, and then I continued researching. I saw a lot of different interesting elements with the moon and the sun, and like playing about day and night, candles, and a book. There had to be like a magic book, and also I wanted to bring in how, because this was all about the tree of life and how we have all the power and the magic to create. Also, I wanted to bring in the elements, air, fire, water, and earth. And these are officially some of the way how you can potentially draw them. There's also this way of drawing them, and also this way of drawing them. And then I started playing around with different shapes, and I thought, oh, maybe the hand of one of the characters could have one of those symbols in there. And that could be like, if you think about superpowers, how it's maybe shot out of the hand. And and here were further symbols that I found that are sort of representative of different kinds of witchcraft. So that's just to bring in the magic. Oh, and maybe what could be interesting is like show you in parallel. Here's a small art print. It might be easier to show you simultaneously. So, well, I think very clearly we have here the cauldron. So we have that. The tree of life, as I showed you, I think, plants. Also, there's this sort of idea of the tree. The Triskelion wish is here, like a representation of wind and water elements, etc. The water elements can also be seen here in Cyprel's bustier. The sun, as I mentioned to you, sun and moon was a bit of a play. So we have here the sun, and over here we have the moon. The crystals are represented back here, which you see from over here. And the Tukar as well, he does not have that witchy element. It's sort of, the idea evolved from the hat to this, and then it evolved even further, so that I really like these lines and the way they were kind of playing with each other. So I hope you can start to see a little bit of parallels, and the candles as well that you see here. The book also represented here, and also overall the magician's stick. I thought they're a bit of a Dumbledore, or the other one from Lord of the Rings. I'll put it up on this. Anyway. Here I continue to do the same thing, so I continue to evolve some ideas. Here we have a couple of different seeds, and then I thought about Panama, where I'm originally from, and the coconut is something that I used to see a lot as a child. They would fall off of the trees, the coconuts in green, so not necessarily the black ones that are typically more known in Europe, the green one, and that's kind of how it can look. Roots, I also thought, but I did not really incorporate them. And over here, I felt to kind of represent magic and movement, that her hair needed to fly as well. So over here, her hair is a lot more, it's like a wind is whooshing through her hair. And yeah, I think this one, I think this was going to be the front of this book, but I ended up adding it open because it's supposed to be like the Ardenium is reading the magic details to Cyprell, and the Scorder is helping to put it in. Once I had the elements and some of the characters somewhat fleshed out, I decided to give it a first go on drawing a sketch. You can see pretty much the elements everywhere, which ones I chose. Here's the candles, the book, the seeds, along with plants and herbs and things like that. Here are the characters, and here the air that I wanted to add, the sort of flowy crown, the magician's stick with the moon, the sun, and the cauldron. And so once I had that here, I was trying to arrange the parts in a way that felt cohesive. And while I really, really like this, how it kind of turned out, I ended up changing it up. So I added this over on this side, moved this over here, and then created the whole section with crystals so that it divides the sections of the artwork. Alright, so here we go now to the actual character creation. So the idea here was just, let's think about multiple characters, just whatever comes to mind based on what you researched, essentially the elements that you discovered, and combining them as well with the type of drawing that you like. So in my case, I noticed how much I love patterns and ethnic looking things, and that's exactly what I tried to replicate in the armor. This is supposed to be an armor, but at the same time I wanted it to be a bit more feminine. That's why I added like this tutu for Cyprell. Cyprell was actually supposed to be more of a skeleton. That's why she has this really bony kind of look. I thought about Tim Burton style, but I didn't want to make her face like that. So she's a bit edgier, yet not too edgy. And so everything is like very like, I feel warrior alike. And in her hand, this was a concept from the previous page, if you remember, drawing something on the hand to be its power. I added an eye to make her as if she was a seer. So I did not incorporate it here, but you can actually, if you compare Cyprell, her face changed a little bit. Not intentionally, it was actually quite hard to get it like that. The sun was already there, which is also, it's the sun, but the way I place it on the throat, it's also a bit like the light of your voice. So like express yourself. And then the rest, very, very similarly. I removed the tutu because it's see-through. I felt it was going to be extremely difficult to capture that with paint, with acrylic paint. So I removed it just for the concept and made her more superhero-like. So she has these red boots and a bit of like a lycra outfit, like, I don't know, Superman or Wonder Woman would have, although Wonder Woman doesn't have pants, but you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, so that's Cyprell. And over here we have Rice. Let me show you how she looks now. So she looks really, really similar. I did not make many changes to her. I just extended her hair, made it a little bit longer, especially because she's underwater. Let me show you here properly. Because she's underwater, I wanted to create the illusion that her hair is flowing. So I needed more hair to play with and do that. What I changed as well is the position of the hand. It kind of looked a little bit flat also underwater and making, because here I just sort of essentially didn't finish her feet or her body. I needed to sort of recreate what she would look like, so that she's floating in the water. And she is an aquatic garden, I called her, and now I believe I changed it to aquatic fairy. And she has these sort of fish-like, reptile-like feet and hands, but looks a bit like an elf with ginormous eyes and also the pointy ears, which were already there from the concept. And and her power is these bubbles that you see all here. She puts joy in them, and whoever touches them or wherever they explode, she just spreads a lot of joy. And yeah, you can see it's very, very similar. I thought as a symbol to represent water, I wanted to add this shell and the translucence of the dress. All that for me with the flowiness, all that's supposed to represent the water, the lightness, and the joy. This last one, I didn't fully finish it. You can see the arm is still missing. I might finish it for the Kuna Realm. But yeah, she's supposed to be a pilot. So let's see what I come up with. Over here we have Iris. I have actually not added her to the Kuna Realm collection because I made her first. I kind of separated it out. It's a horse that it's a magical horse that when it flies over a certain area, it spreads like a magical sparkle, and makes everybody happy as well. So this was the original whole body, but I decided to remove the body and just make the face. I will insert an image. I don't have anything right here with me, but I'll insert an image to show you how it looks now. So if you remember this wavy parts, I also had them before, like here. Next, I wanted to create something more masculine. So far everything was whether animal or very female oriented. So I thought let's add a bit of masculine energy here. And here we have a prince warrior. He is not yet finished. He is the Prince Taru, I've called him. He's just the brother of Cyprel, and they both protect the Kuna Realm. And I added here green, red, and yellows. I wanted to kind of create a bit of an indigenous look. And if you look at that, it might resemble a bit of an Asian touch. I added Japanese and sort of samurai elements. But in the tattoos, even though they're not fleshed out at all, when I went to New Zealand, I saw a lot of people having these absolutely awesome Maori tattoos, so I wanted to incorporate something there. And then the color is a little bit as well indigenous Panamanian or indigenous Latin American patterns. And I've noticed that in indigenous art, the majority often has repeated patterns that are maybe abstract or geometrical shapes. So it's all about that. I tried to add here from Africa. One of the things that always stands out to me is those tribes that have those big earrings. Some even that where the actual earlobe is elongated. So I tried to recreate that with these earrings, and also by the fact that it's a man, or it's supposed to be a masculine figure, but adding the earrings sort of like creating a bit of a gender fluid, or more of a kind of a clash of maybe Western norms when it comes down to who can wear what, etc. And the long eyebrows, I want to say I have that from as well some sort of martial arts. I'm thinking about an older man that with a long beard, long hair, and has this really long eyebrows. Must have seen it in a movie or something. So yeah, that's Prince Taru, but here comes a bit more from him. His power is to crush. He can create earthquakes on the ground when he hits them. So really, really powerful. And that I was trying to, whether like the concept of him is on the other side, this one, but yet the movement and the whole body is sort of shown here. He looks a lot more, I find here, more anime. Also, if you look at the hair, I forgot to mention, I was thinking there about Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Very like Asian influence of the kind of like maybe manga or Asian cartoons. Yeah, and then here you can see the complete look of the more samurai looking like, and the tattoos continuing from the arms to the legs. Next one, we have Tembo Mishana. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly because it's actually Swahili. And what it essentially means, here she is in her final look. What it means is elephant girl. And I wanted to create something that represents Mother Nature. And I don't know, I thought about elephants immediately. Elephants, brown, earthy. I thought about Africa being, you know, the mother continent. And so I tried to create a bit of elephant shapes first to see what looks interesting on an elephant, to then adjust it into a character. So as you can see, her legs are like elephant trunks. The arms or the sides of her, they ended up being like a butterfly on the bottom, but at the top like a flower. And also the flower creates her like the back of her neck. So like that also makes it a little bit more royal or more, you know, she almost as if she has a cape behind her. And here we have petals of flowers, and the center here is like bees. And the bees have these sort of repeated patterns to also make it a bit more indigenous and a bit more earthy, I felt. And so yeah, and here she is. One last thing about Tembo Mishana is her eyebrows. She has little dotted eyebrows, which you can also see in the print. I'm considering making a different version, one where she is by herself enlarged, because you can't really appreciate all the detail that is in her, especially the face. Her body is extremely large and wide, so everything else sort of gets a bit lost. So that's gonna be my next goal. Here's another character that I haven't fleshed out, and I don't know yet if I will include, but you can see again some of the art that I like a lot is indigenous art patterns. I love patterns, and you might recognize this or similarly from Canadian indigenous groups. They have these abstract shapes that are repeated inside of itself, and the shapes kind of continue depending on the body shape or the overall shape of the item or object or animal that is being drawn. And I added a bit of like Medusa hair or something in that direction, a bit of a symmetrical face, and just need to play a little bit with it. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be included. But these guys are over here. We have the Tukarus, which you can see finished over here. I gave him longer legs, so a bit like pelican legs, and extended his tail. So instead of this little thing, he's having a proper full tail. And yeah, but the rest is really the same. He's a bit like a mosaic, which is also the type of art that I absolutely love. Mosaic, if you've ever been to Barcelona and in the Park Güell, absolutely gorgeous, playing with colors and playing with these kind of like layered mosaic stone look-alike. So if you think about a tainted glass in churches, maybe you might see this kind of like, especially here in the center, where it's like it's broken into smaller sections. And yeah, ignore the name there. That was the original name, but it was pointed out to me that depending on how you read it, it might be a bit misread. So you can figure that out yourself if you're curious. But anyway, it's now called Tukarus. And here we have the last two that I still have to make. They're definitely part of the whole ensemble. We have here the Flying Cora and the Curious Scorder. And let's see how these turn out. And I'm excited to make them soon. That concludes sort of the inspiration, imagination, and everything that kind of went into this, this artwork. I hope you liked seeing how I created the Kuna Realm out of my imagination, how the elements evolved into characters. Here it is again for you to enjoy. And if you would like any of the characters, I have them as art prints on my website, tanyarosesdesigns.com. You can also check in the description below. And I also have wearable art, so you can get organic t-shirts and hoodies like the ones that I'm wearing. This is Iris. On my website as well. I hope to see you there, and give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Alright, take care, bye!